Now, I know a lot of people were sort of wondering, how bad can things really get for Xbox? Is it as bad as it can be, or can it actually get worse? And I think anyway that things are actually getting much worse than what we thought, despite what others were saying. So, this was an interesting article on Game Industry Biz, and I know some people think that there may be a more bias towards PlayStation or whatever, but this was an interesting situation that we find ourselves in where Phil Spencer is talking about it. He was in the news last week concerning the lack of growth in video games. And he said it before, and he's saying it again as one of the big two factors behind the layoffs. Obviously, a lot of people have been reporting on that, the rapidly rising costs of everything. Again, I also think inflation has a lot to do with that. There was the inflation due to the pandemic and things like that. I know, especially here in the U.S., they were printing money left and right, like like it was going out of style. So that's going to cause inflation. For Xbox in particular, it's a weird situation because it's in the growth areas where it's looking to play in a console market dominated by Sony and Nintendo, a mobile market that's ruled by Google and Apple, and a PC business that's controlled by Valve. Xbox has been trying to disrupt things, grow things, and widen the market, go places that the rivals are not. But the results have been mixed at best. Like that's the easy way to put it. Like maybe mixed. We'll see. But Game Pass has clearly disrupted things, but it hasn't transformed the business in the way subscriptions have moved in movies and music. Streaming isn't there, and the Series S, which is designed to be a low-cost entry point to a new generation, hasn't succeeded in expanding the audience. So it sounds pretty critical, and I'm going to link this article so you can watch it and things like that, and read it if you want. When Nintendo disrupted the market with the Wii and DS some 20 years ago, it wasn't just motion controls and touchscreens that did it, but it was Wii Sports and brain training. Game Pass still hasn't had that consistent stream of quality games needed to build momentum, and the Series S didn't have that game, at least to begin with, to attract in new audiences. Xbox's first-party slate has had many excellent games in recent years, and many duds, but when it comes to their biggest bets, namely Halo and Starfield, they just haven't delivered, and third-party publishers haven't stepped up either, in particular with their reluctance to support Game Pass with new AAA games. Looking at the sales chart, Xbox, at least what they've seen for the past 20 years, seems under threat. Speaking to major European retailer last week, he was told that they, quote, can't shift anything with an Xbox logo on it. And during GDC, two games publishers, developers independently told him that they were struggling to justify supporting Xbox platforms. It's not unusual for indies to express dismay at discoverability on PlayStation or Xbox hardware, but it's rare to hear it from bigger players with larger marketing budgets. In previous generation, the chatter would have spelled doom for a platform. Just ask Nintendo about what happened to the GameCube and Wii U when publishers and retailers started to back away. But the world is different now, with digital downloading and direct-to-consumer distribution making retail less powerful, while the market is no longer dependent on a handful of big publishers. Even so, such scuttlebutt is hardly a vote of confidence. Considering its position and overall lack of the industry growth, it makes sense that Xbox would double down on an area it's well positioned to succeed in as a games developer and publisher. It's already got a lineup that's the envy of the industry: Call of Duty, Minecraft, Warcraft, Candy Crush, and even a larger slate of big brands beneath those. Amongst the GDC chatter also was understanding that there are a, quote, lot more Xbox games coming to PS5 beyond the four they announced in January, or actually it was February, and Xbox is one of the publishers that actually has some games coming out this year. Hellblade 2, Avowed, and Indiana Jones may not be the biggest games IP, but in a year lacking in major releases, they all have a strong chance to cut through, and the more platforms those games can come to, the bigger the opportunity for Microsoft in the short term. He says he's very intrigued to see what Xbox's summer showcase event will be like in June. Could it be the first Xbox event that PlayStation and Nintendo fans should tune into? Call of Duty alone should pull in a few PlayStation viewers. Releasing games on more platform does place an even larger question mark over Xbox's hardware business. Phil Spencer gave some hints about what to expect in his interview recently, even suggesting that other digital game stores could sell via its platform. And could Xbox's future as a hardware maker be in creating PCs that sit under the TV or in your hand like a Steam Deck or an Asus ROG Ally, or going back a bit to Steam machines? PlayStation won't be too concerned, but it's potentially a compelling concept. A lot of attention has been bestowed on Xbox's trouble, but 2024 is shaping up to be a tough year for the entire console industry. Nintendo Switch is old now, and you can tell by the falling sales. The release date means it's pretty much remasters at this point, and technically quality of the games coming out are pretty low. While Switch 2 isn't due until 2025, it's going to be a long year for PlayStation or for Nintendo. PS5 sales are also slowing, and Sony has admitted it doesn't have a big game on slate for this year, which obviously was something that they knew, but it does have, some surprising hits like Helldivers 2, and then of course it's got Stellar Blade later on. PS5 Pro is going to launch this year, which will help Sony's bottom line, but developers at GDC didn't seem particularly excited about it, and the audience for this is likely to be existing PS5 players, so it's not something that will grow the market, which is a view we've heard from Take-Two and Matt Piscatella of NPD. So 2025 looks more promising for consoles, but anyway, it's like, what's going to really go on with this kind of stuff? I think Microsoft has been trying to disrupt things from within, but as we've seen many times from the first PlayStation and iPhone, the biggest disruptors can come from outside games entirely. Is it time for something else to come in and maybe disrupt? I don't know. I think that's the thing that we have to look at as fans and say, what's going to change. Like Microsoft did try to disrupt things. They went out there with the Game Pass day and date stuff, but I think a lot of their ideas really kind of failed. In particular, the day one stuff that really kind of put a cramp in people buying their games. I know that there's that quote from when Game Pass first launched, and Phil Spencer's like, it actually helps sales or whatever, but at the same time we now know that it actually cannibalizes sales on big games, and so there's a good portion of Xbox gamers who won't buy anything. So we kind of live in that world right now, where we kind of don't know what to expect from Microsoft, but it is a strange time. I think Microsoft cannot afford to port any more games over to PlayStation at this point. I mean, you really risk your platform if that happens. I mean, there's some people that are holding on like it was just 4 old games. Who cares, man? But you start putting more games over there on PlayStation, and I think you really, really risk losing what little foothold you have on your gamers. Honestly, I cannot see people justifying that at that point, so hopefully they don't. And it's honestly, a lot of this stuff is Microsoft's fault when it comes down to it. They put they put their games everywhere. They lied. They kind of gone back on some promises. It's in kind of a bad state right now, but again, we'll see what happens long term with this. It's definitely not sounding great for what Microsoft is trying to accomplish. I honestly don't want to see them go out of business, but at the same time, I can't see them continuing on losing so much money with the hardware and stuff like that. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I will link the article, though. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys live in the EU somewhere? What do you think of this article? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.